Good morning, Professor. I want others to respond.
I'm really happy to be here this morning.
You want to project the?
Yes.
Should I share the screen?
Yes. Excuse me, but not now. I'll ask you please, guys. But now,
Okay.
it's not right away.
Yes, yes.
I'll start right away. For an intro, for Ron, my good friend Amanda, and fellow participants, fellow teachers, educators. I'm happy to be here this morning with you. Share my ideas about reading skill. I think that you would have gone through the passages that I sent you yesterday. And I'll be happy if one or two of you could share your reactions with your audience. Can I ask Samira to share her opinions? Yes.
Yes, hello everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Actually, the passage you shared yesterday, it was the greatest we go function, and we read the passage. It is a good one. It help us think. The question was so very good related to the passage.
Thank you. It's not very clear. Very happy that you could read the first passage. Can I ask somebody else to share the Arizu Kawa? Am I right? Arizu Kawa.
Actually, your voice is breaking. It was not clear for me. What did you say?
Yeah. Now it's clear. Now, when he spoke, I could not hear what he said. So could you please repeat what he said? Samira?
Am I audible?
Now, yes.
It's I said the passage you shared with us, we gone through it was a very good one, and it was perfect questions and the passage. It is related to the questions were related to the passage. It is a very good one. It can help us in reading, teaching, reading to the students. It is a very good one.
Very good. Now, what about the level? To which level will it suit?
Yes, sir.
That is, you have 4 or 5 levels, I understand. To which level will it suit?
About the level, it is about the third one, I think.
No, you will have different sets of people. Will this passage be suitable for your learners?
Yes, it is suitable for them.
Very good, thank you. Now, Arizu, am I right in my pronunciation? Arizu? Arizu is your name?
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, I see. Yeah, please give me your reaction. What do you feel about the passages?
The passages which were intergrouped The level of the difficulty is okay because I am teaching A1 level and my students, the passage which they have got in the book, that is more difficult than that. And this one is easier.
Very good. I take upon this point. Thank you very much. Will anybody else share?
You're welcome, sir.
Will anybody else share? Fine. Now, with this reaction from the two of you, I will proceed with my talk. Really, it's a very good opportunity for me to interact with you all from a different world as it is. But now, I will first talk about reading skill in general, what it is, and why we read, what are the purposes, and then I will go on to the process of reading, then the methods that we have to employ while reading and also while teaching. This is a broad outline. Let's first go to the first part. What is reading? What happens when you read? No, actually, written material or even the printed material or even something displayed on the board, either with symbols or with words, is a material for you to read. And they are in a particular code or a system of symbols. And we only decode it. That's all. The mind decodes it. How does it do it? It's a very complicated process. If you are a left-handed person, the right hemisphere of the brain does something, the neurons do that. Let's not go into that. And because of that, we are able to comprehend what we call it message is. For this, we need a lot of things. First of all, we must know the code. We must also have some background knowledge and information to build on the information. So, it means that we have to learn the coding and decoding process, and we have to teach them to the students. Not in these difficult terms, but very simple manner, depending upon the level of our students. But now, why do you read? Can anybody answer this question? Why do you read? Whether it is in your mother tongue or in English, why do you read? What's the purpose? Or what are the purposes? Anybody? You raise your hand and the host will allow you in. All of us read. Why do you read? Yes, somebody can't. Somebody can't.
Okay. So mainly when we are reading something, so we are trying to understand the meaning of something, or we are trying to find some specific answer of a question like that.
So to get information, very good. So normally we read to get information. It's a general umbrella term. To get information for what purpose? Any purpose. Either, for instance, you get a letter and you read it and then you understand what it is and then you react to it. So the message is there and we want to know what that message is. Or you collect information. So where do you get information? That's what you read newspaper. Sorry, is my collection stable? Is that collection stable? Are you able to hear me?
Your voice broke actually. Now it's okay.
So, whatever we get, sometimes without any purpose we read it. Simply to collect information, we store it somewhere and then we use it on some other occasion or we don't use it. That's one. Now, why do students read? They read it for academic purposes. That is, they want to learn their subject through this language. That is all. I do not know what the medium of instructions in your place, And whatever it is, if it is the mother tongue, then they need the mother tongue, their own language one, to have some information regarding their subjects. In other words, we have it for academic purposes. And the third category is read for pleasure. Read a short story, novel, or sometimes even newspapers, to have some joy, the experience. Sometimes sorrow also. To have some kind of pleasure, entertainment, or just to pass away the time. That's the third category. Well, now, based on this, any other point? Do you agree with me? Yes, we read for these three purposes: to get information, to collect information, for academic purposes, that is to learn our subjects, what are their subjects. Even for mathematics, we need to learn, we need the skill of reading. And also for entertainment and for pleasure. Sometimes it does in the mother, it is happening in mother tongue, and people like us doing for other tongue. So reading has these three purposes. And indirectly, because of reading, culture is transmitted. The culture of Afghanistan is understood by us, just by reading some words by Afghanistan writers. So, similarly, the past we read and understand what it is. But now, having this in mind, let us have the second one. Because we are educators with the main purpose of making our learners to enable them to read their subjects. That's one of the main purposes. But secondly is our job, pleasure. Now, if these are the purposes, how do you do that? In other words, how does the person read? If it is for academic purposes, he needs some careful reading. Sometimes when you read a newspaper or something else, we need a neutral speed. And then if it is for pleasure, we can read faster. So there are three ways in which our rates of reading we have while reading. Let us not go into that now. Let us see how we read. All of us read silently, don't you? Does anyone read aloud? Possibly in the classroom. Do you read aloud in the classroom? If you do, then you serve only one purpose. That is to help the learners listen what is said, listen to what is said. That is all. Nothing else. You don't teach anything else. So only a listening skill is taught. So your reading aloud does not help. Similarly, their reading aloud also does not help. Now let us go to when you read, say if you are, no, I don't say letters, nowadays we don't read them, we read the next word, and then we put them together and try to understand the meaning. It's very difficult. So, reading word by word is ruled out for an advanced learner. Then, reading in chunks, in sense groups, that's the next step. Probably most of your students will be in the third stage, reading in a sense group. That is 4 or 5 words together in a chunk. As Chomsky would say, we learn this in chunks, not in words, not in even group of words, but a larger group of words. And some efficient reader will be able to read how? In a paragraph at a glance. That is an experienced reader. We'll come to that later. So, this is the process of reading. And when this process goes on, you start from word, when you start from words, you will find the children mouthing their words. They will say, dear teachers, please make the session. If you do that, you can't understand the sense, the meaning. So, if you read like this, dear teacher, one chapter, then please make the session, one step. Another session, interacting by asking questions. Okay. If we read like that, the meaning is clear. So, we must train our students to read like this. And when they do it, they don't read word by word. They don't mouth the words also. In other words, when you see an efficient reader, you will find that there is no lip movement. I don't know whether you observe your students. Some of them may make lip movement. What does it mean? They read word by word, which means they don't understand it. So, what do you read? Reading means understanding. Reading means understanding something, decoding something, decoding a message. That is all. So, this particular point you must remember. Brother, could you give the first slide? Screen. My screen.
Able to see the screen? So?
Yeah. Yes. The next slide. Okay. Yes. So, reading means obtaining meaning by looking at words or symbols. So, why do we read? To get information. It's the first one. Information is something that is different. So, next slide, please. So, next slide.
Yeah, not able to see it.
Participants are able to see. They should be able. Yes. Are you able to see participants? Right. Now, when you read, yes, can you see? So when we read silently. Very important. Silent. And when you read silently, there will be no lip movement. And we read 4 or 5 words at a glance. In other words, no, we don't read through the ears. We don't read through the mouth. We read through the eyes. When we glance through, what you see directly goes into the brain. There is no intermediary. That's why we are able to see it. You at a glance 4 or 5 words together, and then all of them go inside. And that's why I said we get the meaning of a sense group. I told you about sense group. And dear friends, dear professors, dear teachers, one sense. Please ask questions and answer. Right. Not just sense. This is very important. Well, now let us go into the process of selecting the material for our students. So you can remove you can remove the screen. We'll come back to it later. So, let's see what happens when you have to teach reading. The first one is the choice of the material that you have to teach. It's very important. As one of the participants remarked, not Sabine, but somebody else, she said that the lesson prescribed by the text is difficult for the learner. So what do? You start explaining, and there is no reading skill taught. So the passage that you choose for reading must be appropriate to the level of the learner. How do you do that? You know. Instinctively, you know, as a teacher, have some experience, you will know this passage is critical for our students. So choose that particular passage, which is to the level. For instance, they will say, if the reading level is x, don't have x minus 1, x minus 2. Don't even have x. Try with the x plus 2, that level. And if that is high, come down to x plus 1. There must be a little bit of challenge, otherwise the reader would not read anything. The reader must have a challenge to find out what it is inside. So you choose that kind of passage. Next is, I give the questions. I ask you to go through the questions. These are comprehension questions. By the way, participants, are you able to follow me? Are you able to
Yes,
follow
sir.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So, the passage that you choose must have some comprehension questions. Whether it is IELTS or TOEFL or whatever be the level of testing, you will find that most of the questions are in the multiple choice type, objective type. So, our questions will have both say true or false, yes or no, even fill in the blanks, but multiple choice items will occupy the maximum part of your questions. Now, there are 3 types of questions to test comprehension. You would have observed, my dear friends, in the passages that I sent you, some questions will be having a literal source. In other words, literal comprehension. The factual questions, how many people are there, where does this take place, and so on. So that is what is called literal comprehension. It is what the passage says, you simply understand and you show your comprehension. But there is another. The answer will not be there directly. You have to interpret from the text. You have to infer. That the answer will not be directly found in the passage. You must infer. That is called inferential comprehension. Right? Inferential comprehension. The third one is critical comprehension. I think in one of the passages that I gave you, there was a question, what is the theme of the passage? What's the main idea of the passage? It goes beyond that. Or suppose it is what kind of a passage it is? What's the tone of the passage? Is it humorous, satirical, or is it melancholic? What's the tone? What's the tone? Is the writer laughing at you, laughing at everybody? So that is another kind of level in critical reading. So the critical reading comes a little bit beyond the general A1 level or A2 level. So these 3 types of comprehension are important. But now, questions should be on all these 3. Sometimes the third critical comprehension questions may be avoided. But the first 2 must be there. I'll give you an example because I don't know whether all of you have read the passages. There are a number of things will be there, a number of things will be there, which test inferential comprehension. I'll give a story. It's not, of course, it is listening. This is a simple story. You would have that. You know, there was a hunter, and he was going along the banks of a lake. You know what a lake is? Lake. Are the lakes in Afghanistan? Lakes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
on the banks of a lake, there was a big tree. What tree do you have? Banyan tree or what kind of tree? Anyway, some trees there, and there were 10 pigeons sitting on it. There were 2 more pigeons sitting, 2 more trees on which 10 pigeons were sitting on each of them. So there are 3 trees, and on each of them were sitting 10 pigeons. The hunter was coming along, took out his gun, aimed at the pigeons, and shot. 2 of the pigeons fell down, and what happened next? I'll put the questions here. How many pigeons, you can open you can unmute. How many pigeons were there totally? How many pigeons were there on the trees? You can listen. How many trees were there? Yes, right? Three trees, and there are 10 pigeons on each of them. What's the total number? 30. Very well. And if you list that one each, then the problem is becoming more difficult. Right. Now, how many pigeons fell down? 2. How many pigeons are left on the tree? 28. That young man, I don't know his name. So let me know pigeon match. Now, how do you do this? Inference, and also your background information about the pigeons flying away on hearing the noise, the shot of the gun. Right? So here we have an inferential comprehension. And the second one for young children will be inferential comprehension. How many it is? What is one number? Then again they will be thinking. It's not given, the answer is not given. They will infer. So this kind of inferential comprehension is very important because it applies to the cognition. It's not mere sight vocabulary or knowledge or mere memory and so on. Reading is a cognitive activity. The mind is involved. So, my friends, when you set questions, you must have a number of such inferential questions. That's why I asked you to analyze the questions that I given you. I have one or two questions like that. Now, the questions ready, the passage is ready. Now what do you do? Now, brother, can you switch on the screen?
Yeah.
Sorry, brother, I am causing a lot of inconvenience.
It's okay. It's a pleasure.
So next, please. Fourth one I'll come back to later. Fifth one. So, literal comprehension, inferential comprehension, and critical comprehension. So it's clear. Next one, please. Next slide. Now, when you have to teach reading, you must have 3 activities. 1, pre-reading activities. Then comes reading by the learner. Then come the post-reading activities. Why do you have pre-reading activities? No, the teacher's role in this reading process is only to prepare the learners to read. I repeat, the teacher does not read, the teacher does not explain anything, the teacher prepares the learner to read. And how does he do this? How does she do this? Through a number of activities. You know, what is the difficult area in the particular passage is in English, which is second language or third language. The words will be difficult, vocabulary will be difficult. Secondly, that sometimes the content will be difficult. The cultural element will be difficult. Suppose I had chosen a passage from, say, Indian or Tamil context, then that will be difficult for you. That's why I chose passages which are not, which do not belong to any particular area. or region or even country. But you can have your own passages, and the passage must be understood if there is some problem with respect to the content. So these two things, and as for language, the sentence construction, we can't do much about it. I think in course of time the learner will understand, even if it's a complicated sentence to now, the pre-reading activities thus must focus on vocabulary. How do you do that? Sometimes it can be through some kind of a role play. For instance, I chose a passage. It is about the Knights of the Round Table. Suppose you know that, right? Knights of the Round Table. King Arthur. Not King Arthur, Arthur's Round Table. What happened was, one day, a poor person came and said that there is a sword seen on a rock, a stone, embedded on a stone. And so the king and his knights went there to see what it was, actually. And they found that something was written on the rock, on the stone. It's written like this: only the bravest soldier can draw it out. The bravest knight, sorry. Not soldier. Bravest knight can do that. Now, of course, one of the knights was the bravest. Bedivere, called Bedivere. He was asked to draw the sword. He could not do it. So all of them came back, and then a knight with a scabbard without the sword came, called Galahad. And he went there and he pulled the sword and kept it with him. Now, here, students might not know the word sword. They might use the word saber, or they may not know how kings are addressed. They are addressed in those days. It will be very good to introduce this through a role play. Here will be sitting, and then the people from other places coming and paying respects to her, and so on. They will be asking Your Majesty, and some will be calling Your Lordship, and my Lord, here the ladies like that. So all these terms of addresses being introduced through a kind of a role play. So through role plays, or through some kind of a reading material, or some singing, some drawing by students. For instance, I would ask the student to draw the weapons used in the Middle Ages, and they would draw swords, spears, lances, and so on, and then bow and arrow, and all these things will be listed on the blackboard. And then the proper words will be identified, the armor, what particular word is important, the armor. So all these things will be introduced through some kind of activities, right? Now, after this previous pre-reading activities for either the concept or for the vocabulary words, we go to the reading task. Now, the students are encouraged to read silently. And they read silently, and the teacher does not keep quiet. She goes around, watches the students. In a particular class of 10 or 15 or 20, some students should be able to read very easily. Some with some difficulty, some not at all. So the teacher goes around and finds out the students with difficulties and helps them to do it. And then they answer after reading. You give the specify the time, and they read and answer the questions. The answers are discussed by the students in pairs. So there's a lot of intricacies. They discuss in pairs, they understand it better, There will be no need for copying the answers. So I don't know how copying is in your place. There's no need for copying because then we discuss the answers to the neighbor. So after this discussion, once again the whole class discusses the answer. And the post training activities, that is one simple activity, answering questions and discussion. Next will be dramatization, or retelling the story, or if it is a long passage, say the third level B, then the students should be able to take down notes. Either in the form of the format that is usually given by the teachers, or they can have a flow chart or diagrams. In any way, they can represent the story in some way or the other. Not exactly the story, the material. Now, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
So reading activities will be to prepare the learner to read. Please be there. Activities will be games, role playing, reading, extra reading, reading at home. For instance, I gave a passage for you to read, passages for you to read at home. So something like that I have given. Sometimes they write, before they start reading, they write something about their experiences in some place. Or they do some reference work, drawing, and then the teacher introduces vocabulary. These are the reading activities. The next one, next slide please. While reading, what do? Correct students with movement. Sometimes finger pointing, hand movement like this. Encourage students to guess the meaning of words. If you cultivate the habit of referring to dictionary every now and then for a difficult word, then reading will become impossible, actually. Every time you find a difficult word, you go to the dictionary, the very sense is lost. So, what you do is, you allow the students to read and guess the meaning of a word. For instance, in the story that I was narrating, there was a word called scabbard. They might not know the word, but they can easily guess the meaning as some case in which the sword is sketched. So there is no need for us to tell the meaning. So guess the meaning. Give time limit. Our students survey or after first reading ask questions. Encourage the learner to read at least 3 times. Very important. First reading, one set of questions. Second reading, another set of questions. Third reading, another set of questions. Like that. That is how we read. If you find a difficult passage, you and I also. When I read, say, an hour, I have to read it 3 times, 4 times. So, cultivate that habit in them. Read, price the passage. Now go to the next. This is a while reading activity. These are post-reading common questions. True or false, multiple choice, one word, one sentence answers, depending upon the level of your students. In most of the comprehension questions, the tests, they will have one sentence answer questions in our case. But in the IELTS, there is no such question. Similarly, we discuss answers after each set of questions, encourage pair work or group work or even class discussion or discussing the answers. Now, the question is, I know, so some passage is prescribed for us, and the prescribed passage is difficult for the learners. What do? If you prepare the students like this, from simple, a bit complicated, simple way, a little more difficult and so on, if you in a graded manner, teach them how to read, finally, they will be able to read the passage given to students. By reading the text, we can't simply overthrow the text. Even I tried to do it here, it's impossible. But Albert also tried. No, they don't listen to us. So, everywhere it should be the problem. So now, if you do this, then the textbook student also can be of some use, not immediately, but after some time. Let us now go to other activities that you can have after posting next activities. So, if it is for higher level, we go to board making. Traditional format is like this, You see the screen, other activities, major type, you have a bold letter, then first point, you have note making, under that, traditional format is suppose you put the capital, say A for note making, then here you can have small a and small b, then the capital B for dramatization, then capital C, picturing, then capital D, drawing diagrams and pictures. So if the students are able to take down notes like this from the reading passage, then they will be able to use it later on. I am not going to teach you note taking now, but this is not note taking. Now, let us go back to something else. If you had gone through the passage very carefully, you would have noticed that I have given some instruction. Please survey the passage, don't read. Find out what the main idea is. Right? You don't start reading, everybody does that. You also do that. When experienced professors do that. When you do a passage, start reading the first word. So no, don't. Survey. See what it is, what it has, what it tells us about. Sometimes the title tells us. Sometimes if you have a glance at the introduction, if it's a organized essay, then you will find that the main points are summarized in the first paragraph. Or the topic sentences of each paragraph. So look at it. Sorry, if it's a story, then find out who are the main characters, who the main characters are. Then, where does it take place? Find out where the events take place. Third one, where do the events take place? Now we read the entire passage by writing out the answers for this? No, you don't. What you do is, you just skim and scan. For days, spaces, you scan. Start scanning technique. Scanning strategy. Then, to find out the main ideas, main events, you skim. Start skimming. Together. So, use both strategies together, skimming and scanning. And then you have an idea of what it is. Sometimes, some teachers do this. They give the title and ask you to guess. Ask you to guess what the passage contains. Suppose the topic is pollution. Pollution is the topic. Now, when the teacher asks the students to guess what it is about, some students will say kinds of pollution, or types of pollution, causes of pollution, third one, how to prevent pollution, or the effects of pollution. Right. So this may involve main message we will say, but possibly the essay is about only noise pollution or the pollution that is found in the classroom. You get that? So, even though they have anticipated it, if answer you only one of them or not any of them, and even then the reading will become easy. So, anticipated reading. The anticipated what is there, the identify what is the rapid form with this, but you understand it better. Just as I don't know when you watch movies, the movies you go to the first scene or a few scenes and you say, this is going to be the story. You guess, you make a guess, internet guess. Then the story may go according to your guess or it will go against it. You follow. Even then, if you like it, you enjoy you enjoy also that you are trying to guess what it is about. Okay. And of anticipatory this is interesting talk. Come to the next one. To survey the water questions. What is it about? What is the passage about? What is the author tell us about? What is the attitude of the author? Does he support the particular political party? Does it support America? Does it say anything about preventing COVID-19 and so on? So you put questions into your DSM according to answers. If you are a teacher, then you put these questions. So once they finish the survey, before they read, you put these questions, and they will not immediately find the answer. They will start. So when they read through, they will understand what it is about. This is a little bit of careful reading. It is not like a survey. It's not just glimpsing. They go through the entire essay. And depending upon the availability of time, you fix the number of paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. Right? Then, there should be questions. Immediately, it is followed by questions, multiple choice questions. Better? For the particular 3 paragraphs that you have given. Once again, the same follows the same procedure. And this is called recalling. Recall to this answering the questions. And the one term for it is reciting, not memorizing and reproducing, but recalling for this. Then the fourth one is called reviewing. You once again read today, 3 days later, 1 week later, and then this reviewing, with the help of the notes that you made, will help you to fix what you have read in your mind properly. It's not memorizing, it is a cognitive way of remembering things. So this is the method you have to follow while reading. Let's go back to slide number 5. This one, that's 4, please. 4.
This is 4.
So this is what is called SQPR technique. The first is survey. You go to the entire passage and try to find out places, events, time, characters, and so on against the story. Or it is a play, a short story. Or you find out the main points. It is a say, the technique is how we essay is it is what is the issues that are taken up and so on. So, but survey, just get the main ideas. Usually, in a well-structured essay, the introduction, as I told you, will give you all the main points. Then, next will be every paragraph will have a topic sentence. Very much called it topic sentence. Many ideas in every paragraph. And you can easily identify. Usually, the main idea will be found in the first sentence. Sometimes the last sentence. Very rarely in the middle. So, as a middle step, you can, if you want to do some long reading text, then your short paragraphs, immediately the students are asked to identify the topic sentence, main ideas, and the middle basis as well. So, this also infinitely helps you to better. Thus, the main points are identified. Supporting details are identified while reading can. And they are also. So, main points, supporting details are identified. So, question, read, decide, and review. So, if you read something, you read it, telling purposes, remember what is the subject, then the topic of the subject is remembered or you didn't put this in the example. And if you follow this, you will be able to understand that field better. So now, from the last part, last two slides like this. Last two slides. Post-training activities. That's all. So, slides.
Thank you.
That's all.
ஒரு நிமிஷம் சார் வந்து டைம்
I think, first of all, there is aspects of teaching reading. And I do not know whether I have been helpful to you in organizing a reading program. My suggestion is that apart from the textbook prescribed for your students, God measure the level of your students and accordingly prepare the passages and then follow the method that I have advocated and then slowly take them to the level of their testings. Right? And sometimes even students who are preparing for IELTS may not know all these techniques, tactics. So if you teach even this technique, but the passage. So thank you very much. Now for your questions.
We may have time for questions. Okay, so first of all, thank you, sir, for giving us this opportunity to interact with you. For me, reading section is the most difficult section. I've got many questions in that regard, so I'll be specific and I'll ask only 2 questions. The very first one is related to my students. When I teach my students reading and writing, specifically reading, the difficulty that they are cover crossing is, they cannot concentrate. I'm telling them to concentrate on what they read, but they, in response, in turn, they say it's quite difficult to concentrate on things which are, like some of the reading passages got punctuations too, like hyphens connecting the sentence. So for them, it's quite difficult to concentrate on the reading. Sometimes they say, we don't know what you're reading. So things that we read, as we move to the next sentence, we forget those things. This is their major difficulty, their level of concentration. And the response that I tell them something like, please concentrate. This has become something repetitive. I've been saying this one over and over. And I hope you can give us some tips to help my students in that regard.
His name?
Hafizullah, sir. Hafizullah.
Your name?
Yes.
Now you can read and understand the passage. Yes, the passage that is prescribed, which is difficult for the students. You can understand.
For me,
You can understand, but
yes.
3 or 4 years ago, you might not have understood it. How did you manage to understand it now? I tell you,
That's a very good question.
From simpler, more difficult, and probably it took some 3 or 4 times, 4 years for you to master this. But regarding our students, we must treat in a very short while, very short time. And you find out, as I already told you, I anticipated this problem. This is the problem we face also. So once they do not understand, they can't concentrate. They can't focus on what you are teaching, what they are reading. So what you do is start with the simplest passage. Not exactly simplest, simpler passage.
Please charge.
No, nothing. It's all right. Continue, sir.
You must guess. This is simple challenging, but simple for our students. First of all, they must have confidence. No, probably in the lower classes, they will
All batteries, please charge.
Problem to speak on.
So Then we ask them to refer to dictionaries whenever they found difficult words. And that's a major problem. And also check whether they read with their lips or whether they read chunks, essence, incense groups, whether they are able to read sentences together at one go. That's what how we read. That's what an efficient reader reads. So, to do it, you must give them training from the beginning. So, choose the passage that is a little bit challenging. And then, little bit, which involves cognition, mental activity, like the ones that they are given. And then ask them to go away. And, I told you, vocabulary, they would have been trained like that. And if you refer to dictionary for every word, then you are lost. So, they discourage them to refer to dictionary, what do you read? They will read later on. Next one is, you must have confidence. Even in speaking, confidence is important. If you are not confident, you cannot speak. So, next one is confidence building exercise. And how do you do it? Give them like simple passages, they understand, oh, I understand this. Then we go to the next, and so on. And if you do this, I will tell you, in a very short span of time, if the students are interested in including their English. Right? So, if you encourage them, give them confidence, then they will. But it will take time. So, for the passage that I want to read now, it will take 1 month of careful and sustained training. Second question. I answered the question, Mr. Abdullah.
Partially, sir. Partially, I got my answer. Okay, so why I'm saying this is, sir, our students are teaching in the advanced level. Our students have been studying for almost 3 years.
Yes.
So it's like a long time for them to master the reading skill. Anyways, so I'll keep the tips that you shared in mind when our on-site classes began. The next question is related to myself. I'm planning to take probability test. Sometimes when I take some practice tests of probability, I find the reading passages over there, I find them much more different from any other kind of readings, reading passages in the textbooks, newsletters, magazines, all this kind of stuff. They are kind of, most of them are academic, and especially I find it very difficult. Sometimes you may not believe me, even I don't know the title of that reading passage. So I find it very difficult to understand the rest of that one when I don't know the title. I don't know what I'm reading. Some of them are even that difficult, but not all of them. Of course, for example, from 10 passages, 1 or 2 might be like that. Could you please give me some?
The area of what kind of discipline, subject? What area is it? Subject?
Subject.
Philosophy?
I couldn't.
No, is it philosophy or science subject or something like that? What subject do you find difficult?
I generally find this biology, then the other one is geology. However, my field is geology, I find it very difficult. Yes, subjects. They are generally scientific and academic subjects. Those kind of academic subjects which are taught in the English spoken countries, universities, so I find it very difficult. They are very much different from the textbooks that we are teaching over here, from the magazines that we are reading, from every kind of English. I must say that they are different and difficult.
I understand. Now, as for the previous classes that we based, that is usually becoming partial. No, the difficulty is substantially level of students we get. We can also have the same problem. They would have done some 12 years of schooling, 12 years of English learning, and they won't be able to read it. So this is the case maybe. And so the only thing that you should have, as Dr. Albert would have told you, commitment and concern. Because you should learn this in lower class. No, don't do that. Prepare them. I know it can be. Should be done. But secondly, as far as the reason for you is that the books that you have read are with reference to particular subjects, and your knowledge of those subjects are not adequate. For instance,
Yes.
I was translating into another chapter. A book on Stephen Hawking, not by Stephen Hawking, on Stephen Hawking, Life and Works by Kitty Redwoodson. For this, I must know cosmology, which I have studied. To understand that book, I must have read cosmology, some physics, and so what did I do? I went through those subjects, tried to understand the technical words, get the meaning, and then I went to the translation work. And understand, I must do the translation, I must understand. That's what I did. So what I suggest is you have the technical words in the particular subject and understand them first. Go to any encyclopedia, Google will give you all the difficult terms explained properly, and then you go to the text. If you don't prepare them and then go to the text, you will be in this. So prepare like this. And again, this is what I am going to tell you about teaching your students also. Then there are technical terms in the lesson. Suppose you are a teacher of physics. If they do not know what quantum mechanics says, they can't understand the topic means. You must tell them what it is. So like that, you must also learn the difficult words, technical words, get them fully into your mind. Then you will understand. And even if it is a kind of a way in which it is presented differently, then you can. So that's the only solution that I can offer. Because it's always difficult. If you have to read a subject that's different from others, then you can. But be ready. It's a geology means what are kind of words that you use? Rocks, different types of rock, layers, and so on. Go through all of them. Be ready. In other words, what we are expected to do here is to have a broad knowledge of the physics, including the technical terms. Now, how many of us know about COVID till a few months ago? Well, now we can say, and virus, community spread, all those things we know. A few days ago, we did not know that. So like that, because of the need, we can. Thank you. I suppose I have tried to answer your question. Very good interaction.
Yes. Okay, yes, you have very quickly answered my question. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other participant?
Hello. Hello, and good morning, sir. This is Abdul Basit.
Second name, please.
Basit. Basit.
Basit. Right. Okay, Basit. Go on.
Yes, I have a short question. It is regarding that how reading can help us in better writing.
I am a writer because I am a reader. No, when you read, unconsciously you absorb the structures that are used by the writer as well as vocabulary. You don't study the vocabulary for itself. When you read a lot, the vocabulary gets into your mind. Then the sentence structure also gets assimilated into your mind. You not study grammar. Of course, grammar is necessary for monitoring purposes, but the grammatical structures get embedded in your mind. Thirdly, if you are going to be a creative writer, the writing that you read, if it is a literary work, will inspire you to write. No, I told you about the structure of a good lecture or a good reading passage. There will be a beginning, there will be an end, and an introduction will give you the main points, summary will summarize it, and so on, and each paragraph will have a paragraph maybe. Paragraph topics are also called. If you are carefully building it, identify each of them, then when you transfer this,
Yes.
now, if you analyze a good reading passage into its terms, then you will find this kind of flow and also cohesion, how one paragraph is linked to the next one. Even within the paragraph, there is cohesion. All these things you will notice. And when you write, you will use all these things. But for our younger students, at least they will follow the method. This is how it's done. So, for instance, if you read Bertrand Russell, you will find that every paragraph will have a topic sentence. Even though the sentence is complicated, the first sentence will tell you, will give you the clue about that next paragraph, and so on. But if you read some other writers, then they will not be like that. May I answer the question?
Yes, thank you, sir. And there's one more question regarding the concentration in reading. So for me, when I am alone in my room, when I read something, I can better understand, comprehend the text. But while in the classroom or other places, I cannot concentrate. So if you can give some more tips regarding that, I'll be.
See, the reason for our inability to focus on what we read is, there are many. One is distraction from outside. Somebody will be distracting you. Something else will be distracting you. Somebody, no, this evening I have to go to this party, like that. So some kind of distraction will be enough to lose your focus. But another thing is you must, even when you have all these distractions, and even if there are difficulties, you must be able to concentrate. And the concentration, some people do it this way, it's just to mark on the side, right? The mark on the margin or the other line. I don't think that it is not really good. What it is, first understand what it is, then take down notes. You make notes on what you read, not necessarily like a complete passage. Say a particular section or a paragraph. For that, you make notes. Now the format, the main idea is about it. You will concentrate. And if you don't understand, you can't write the points. So understanding, when you try to understand something, all the other distractions vanish. This is the only way that I have found personally to be useful. And take interest in what you do. Even if it is a dull subject, try to take interest. Just as we teachers do it, even if we find a particular lesson uninteresting, we try to make it interesting by our own way of doing it. Okay?
So thank you, sir. Thank you.
More questions?
Hello, sir. It's Mahia. I am happy, and also thank you so much for your nice description based on the reading skill. So I have a question. As you say that as a teacher, before entering to the class, we have to prepare some list of the questions regarding the reading or the passage. Now, as you know, the students which you are teaching, they are not, the English language is not their first language. So we have different or variety levels of understanding from the students. Now, how can we prepare or how can we consider them the same level?
This is what I am giving very short video lectures on teaching mother tongue, teaching our Tamil language, mother tongue. Very brief videos. And in a particular video, I have given all these tips to the teachers. One asked, sir, the class has 40 students. I don't know the number of students that we have. How many students do we have usually? Our classes have how many? How many? How many students do we have? 35. Almost like 40, 45 like that. So all the 45 students will have different ability. What do we do? But at least we can group them into three. Number one, high achievers. They read fast, quickly. Before you ask them to read it, they will read the answers, and then they will cast me, they will be users. Then the average people. Then those who will be struggling, they will not be able to read at all. Now, what do? You have to ignore either ignore the students, brain students, to give the answers immediately, or you must give them alternative works. Ask them to read something else. They finished it. All right, read this. You must have classes ready, advanced. Give it. The middlers, they will manage themselves. Then come to the last group. Say in the class of 35, at least 10 will be like that. Am I right? 10 will be like that. And for these 10 students, you have a separate. So you have chosen, say, sorry, I have 5 levels of reading passages. So I have ready-made passages, 5 levels of reading passages. I am not teaching textbook, I am teaching reading skill. So I have 5 levels, I read on the second level, and they find it difficult. So what do? I go to the first. And even in my classes, sometimes, now I don't teach, but when I give them sessions like this to school young children, some children will not be able to give a sentence at all. They're not able to give a word. So what do? Either you have to throw them out, or you take them. Which is better? Concern? Yes. So what I do is, I take them to the lowest level. Even lower than what I have been teaching them. The word has its meaning, and the meaning is seen in an object or in a fiction. For instance, a book. The word is there in English, and the book is there. And the students must be able to connect this word, okay, with what? With the book itself, the object itself. So give them training in that. Have 5 such words, short words, and then objects. Ask them to match. They can do it. They can run it in short word. They can have a game. Then. Next one, you have what's called, you have treasure hunt. You have treasure hunt like that. Treasure hunt, you play a game. No, you give instructions. I like the idea. You give few cards like that, and then you hide something in a particular place. You want a person first to find it out, first go to different places, take the cards, and then go to the next like that, and then finally reach the treasure. Right? Here also you do the first one. The book is the queue in the form. So the one who will find the queue. There, just on the table. You read and go on, take the card. Next one, like that goes on. And finally, it's again the chalkboard. Typically, you get the chalkboard on the chair. Now here, the learner learns to read groups of words or word and find the meaning by itself, and then match it out. And the next one, the boy is riding a bicycle. The boy is riding a camel. So you have a chair, the boy is riding a camel, service, then they match it. And if they are in the groups, all the bicycles together, each group is matching, and finally they are going to another place. So, this is maybe not like that. historical events in Afghanistan, and we given a cards, and each one will read it and we stand in an order according to chronologically or numerical order. So this chemical is and these all these things will take a very short period, remember that, because they are not drugs. Then next step, then I will give answers and answers, short lessons, and they prepare them. But all this needs lots of preparation, patience, and commitment. I suppose Shakira? I'm sure that you are committed, you are concerned, I can do it. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Good morning to you, sir, and thank you so much. This is Pavinto.
Happy to see you.
Yeah, so we are extremely happy to. Yes. I mask myself to save. So thank you so much. This was quite interesting. I'm really happy about your session. Some felt this, your experience and expertise really came out when they asked the questions, because it can read through your experience, and it was quite enterprising to notice that. And I also felt that the question which the coordinator of our program out here, Mr. Hafiz, he asked the question, and one thing which I felt was, if we don't have the right student at the right level, we will really struggle. Somehow what we do is we compromise with some students, saying that it's okay that you may be promoted. So what happens is, this very struggle will have to be encountered at that point of time. So this is what I also felt. So in fact, this was an insight which came to me when you were explaining out of your experience. So we are deeply grateful to you, and we look for.
Yes. One second, Father. I had been struggling for years together, more than 30-40 years, in the same situation. The college that I worked, we had only students from rural areas, and they had no proper education at all. But they came to the college without knowing anything, and we struggled to impart them some skills. I devised various schemes and programs for them, and finally I had to make them answer a few questions in English, but they would improve their listening skill, reading skill, but writing practically nothing. So this has been my experience, and see how we were happy when we were able to make them speak something. The rural boys who had no idea about English, they are able to speak. We were very happy. So the struggle is the reward. Thanks, sorry.
We are extremely grateful for this session with you. We look forward for the forthcoming sessions that we may have with you. In fact, during this particular session we had in our class, 7 of us were here, and Sabira was online. Yasmin and I also joined at the beginning, but I think they had some signal connectivity issues, and they might have just disappeared. Yes. So we hope for some more sessions with you. So we are extremely grateful to you. In fact, I just wanted to give you a short overview about our programs over here. We have got basically 4 programs here: the English programs, computer classes, then concours classes we call it. It's training sessions for, or the coaching sessions for university exams. Then we have the online programs. Online programs are exclusively dealt by Brother Ronald. Then other programs, we have our coordinators to run this. The English programs are basically divided into 2, the lower level and the higher level. The lower level is once again categorized into basic, higher basic, pre-foundation, foundation. So it will come around little more than a year. Each session will last for more than 3 months. So that's how it is designed. After that, we proceed with the level A1, A2, B1, B2 and C1. So the B2 and C1 levels are for almost 6 months. Rest of the sessions last for 4 months. So it's a program for almost 2 years. So by 3.5 years, a student gets a kind of competence to pick up the language and use those skills. That's how we have designed the program. In fact, these sessions were extremely motivating. In fact, the experience of yours matters a lot, because the struggles that they had expressed are their own personal difficulties for many of them. In fact, all of them rather. So we are extremely grateful to you for this session. We look forward for more sessions from you. Probably we are deeply sorry that in the beginning we had some technical issues and we had delays. We are extremely grateful to you for understanding and accommodating us. And I am extremely grateful to Brother Ronald. He also was trying to fix it. He was struggling a lot. Yes. So, is it okay that we close it and maybe we will contact you once again? You are already in our group, the WhatsApp group by name JRS Advanced English Educator. That's the title of the. So if you have some more details to that one, feel free to add to that one. Okay. So once again, on behalf of JRS and all my colleagues, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to you. It was quite insightful. In fact, I thought that we may close it by 10 o'clock, but we were trying to compensate that one by extending your time. Thank you so much for your precious time. So once again,
for giving me this opportunity. I must congratulate all the participants.
So they all have to thank you for you. That's all.
Thank you.
So we will close it for
I
time
really
being.
enjoyed interacting. I really enjoyed interacting with the participants. And also your words, very encouraging age. I enjoyed it, but no other one. And what you do is, what the participants do is, they write down their problems, queries, and post them in WhatsApp. Or for next session, what you want me to do here?
Okay.
I personally only do one thing, that is pleading for literary appreciation. And if they want, they can give it to later on. Thank you very much.
Probably you can share that one. I can request our teachers or colleagues to go through that one seriously. We'll serious and we'll do it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.